Hello everyone. So with this playlist we will see how you can make REST API in PHP. This will be a complete guide, and by the end of this playlist you will know how you can create different kinds of REST APIs in PHP. In this video we will see what is a REST API, why we are using PHP. Then we will see how you can use the different tools and environment setup that will be required. And at last we will see what will be the API structure and folder structure for this complete REST API in PHP. So REST is basically stands for representational state transfer. It is an architectural style that we used for building the web application network. So particularly in web services, mainly communicated over HTTP, that is a protocol which is used on the entire web system. REST APIs are stateless. Stateless means they do not need to store any data or any information on the server. When we make an API call, it has to contain everything related to that API, related to that call. So the server does not have to carry any load of storing anything on the itself. So that's why it is stateless. And next, the resources are usually communicated, they are sent or they are received in the JSON or the XML format. Most commonly JSON is used, and we will also use the same in this playlist. So that is the REST API, and in REST APIs 4 methods are there. They are called HTTP methods: get, post, pull and delete. So though we have like particular video on each of these methods, but I'll just give you a like little small intro of the each. So get is mainly used to get the information. As the name already says, we just getting the information from the server. Server is making a connection to the database, and it is giving us some information, and nothing we are sending to the server. Next is the post request. It is the opposite of the get request. So we are sending something from our side to the server, and then server is having a connection with the database, and it is storing or doing any logic or any operation to that thing. But we are in the post request, we are sending, and in certain circumstances it is also sending something as back. But usually the post request is for like creating something or for login, for registering, that all stuff. Then the put is mainly for update, and the delete is usually for the removal of certain resources. Okay, so moving on to the importance of the REST APIs. So its importance is that they are language independent. In the different languages we can have the REST APIs. Then it has like front-end apps and mobile app interactions. We can always integrate them in the REST APIs. Then they are key for integrating microservices. Like suppose you have a very big application and you have different microservices within that same application. So in that case also REST APIs are fab. Next is why we are using the REST APIs for PHP. So like why we are using PHP mainly. So like the advantages of PHP is that it is quite old. So that's why it has a very good documentation, and it has a very big community, large community. Then it is lightweight for integrate into any other languages if we want. And then so the PHP has some native built-in functions that we will be using in the upcoming videos. So that makes PHP a quite good to have the REST APIs in it. And also in PHP there are different frameworks itself, because it is quite old, so that's why. And just to have a recap of its syntax, we use this PHP brackets, and whenever we are creating any new variable, then we use this $sign, and then we put the name after it. And server-side scripting. So PHP is a very like old server-side scripting language. It is used very most commonly, and along like most of the websites, like around so many websites are made on PHP. That's why it's a very generic language. That's why we are using it. Then coming on to the tools and environment setup that you will need for this complete playlist. So for running PHP, you should have PHP within your system, and to have that PHP, what you can do, there is a software you can install. It is XAMPP. So just search for XAMPP, and here you'll find it. When you will go to their website, you can use it for Windows, Linux and Mac as per your system. So you can just install it. I already have it installed. Once installed, you just have to follow along with the permissions and all. It will install it in the C drive of yours, and then in that XAMPP, whenever once it is installed, you can just search for XAMPP, just open it, and then when once you click on start, like these two things. The Apache is the server that the XAMPP uses, and the MySQL is the database. So you just need to use these two services. You just have to put the start, and then after starting on the local on your site, you have to write the local host and then the name of the website. That is done. We will like see how we can set it up, and then the file name, and the same file will run onto your local system. Okay, so that this we will see in detail, but for now you can just install the XAMPP and XAMPP in your folder, and then I have already written it how we can start it. And then for testing the APIs, because we will be making the APIs, so for test those APIs also you can have Postman installed, or you can also use it on the browser itself, but yeah, I'll prefer it that you will install it first. Now coming on to the basic API structure, the structure that we will follow is that we have this root API project, and inside this we will have this app controllers models. Controllers are basically used for having a connection with the database, and models are used for structuring of the data. Like if you are creating a table with the user, then what are all the fields? This we will see in detail. Config will have all the like variables that are quite like passwords and all, and some email that like you might change in the future. So that's all we will keep in config. And then this will be the front end file, public index.php. This will be the front end file. And now going to routes and endpoints. So everything, wherever we will be hitting the API, this will start with the API because we are already keeping it in the API folder. So this will be the endpoints, API users, and if it is something for get, if we want to just get the information, then we will use the get method. Otherwise, as per the method, as per the action we want to do, we will use the methods. Then when it comes to routing, there are different functions in the PHP, like server request method. It will basically gives us which method is used. So this all we will use in our file, in the API file. And for testing, we will use Postman. So that's it for this video. It was an introduction video only. So in the next video, we will see how we can set up and start exploring in the practical phase. It was just a theory video, so that you just get to know what things we will be required and what is REST API, just to give you a little clarity. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.